Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris from UpCoach. Today, we're going to talk to you about how to find your ideal customers. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today we want to show you, or speak to you at least, how to find your ideal customers. If you struggle finding the right type of customer that you want to serve, we're going to show you how, and Nick's going to explain how. Before we start rolling out the goal, Nick, how are you this morning?
I'm very good, thank you. Lucky today I don't need to swim to work instead of drive to work because it's been raining. But hey, one man's sun's another man's rain, and one man's rain is another man's sun as well. It's very
Exactly
relevant of what we're talking about where it comes to finding the ideal client.
I was speaking with a client last week, and he's a builder, and he's had a lot of rain delay. But he said the plus side, Chris, is I've got so much work done in the office. So, sometimes that rain can be a blessing in disguise, like you said. So let's dig into ideal customers. Lots of people market to, let's call it the vast majority of people that they can serve. And, you can serve the vast majority. But if you can fine tune your focus down and really find the ideal type of customer that you truly want to serve and truly can really help, what's the best way to actually do that, Nick? What's your advice around this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, Chris. I think there's a few different angles to take on this. Let me give you a perfect example. So, as we're recording this podcast in New South Wales, or pretty much east coast of Australia, it has been pretty much, devastated by, flood, hurricane, major winds, major flooding, all of these things. And funny, not too far from where I live in Sydney on Saturday, there was a little mini sort of tornado that went through and apparently stripped the roofs off like 200
I
houses.
saw that.
And that's literally 20 minutes by car from it. So it's one of those things that, sometimes the ideal customer shows itself. So I've got people, let's say, that are in, maintenance. And I guarantee you that if they put their hat in the ring, in the next week or so saying, hey, we can help with roofing or repairs or all of that stuff, anyone that's a, tier one builder is going to be looking for these tier two, tier three, tier fours. Now, same thing if you were in, water pump, generator type businesses where you can pump water out, the Nepean's flooding, Windsor's flooding, there's all these places. So if you do, let's say if you hired that type of stuff, or maybe you've purchased it to sell it, but maybe think about hiring it out, you can literally, build a mini business on that. And once again, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. Again, it would be a matter of when it happens. Again, I mean, Australia is full of, extremes, right? You could bushfire, scorching sun, flood, snowing where it shouldn't snow, right? And that's our weather. It's been like that for 1,000 years, right? So sometimes it's actually, it just presents itself, and that could be your ideal customer. In saying that, though, traditionally, I've sort of gotten four things I'd like to speak about. And here's where I like to start. People always think about, if I get a customer, I can sell them stuff. Now, if you're in, I don't know, retail and you sell kebabs, is it your ideal customer as everybody? The answer is yes, if they like kebabs. Now, if you're a vegan, well, maybe a kebab isn't your thing, but if you sell falafels, well, maybe, hey, that's a cool thing, right? And I know this because there's a place in the city called Jimmy's Falafels, and it's packed. Like, the people are lining up at 11:30 to open for 12 o'clock. It's insane, right? So, and, I've had it, and it's $25 for a falafel. You go to a, Lebanese restaurant, and they charge you $7 for one of those. But there's a definite market for it. So it's crazy, right? So all they've done is modernized it, make it look cool. And it's, Justin Hem's restaurant, so it's going to be all right, and make the liners down the road. And inside, packed, right? It's like crazy. But anyway, so in other words, sometimes identifying the ideal client, I think maybe part two, and here's what I mean by this. So part one, I think, first of all, identify the goal that you want to reach. So what is it that you want to reach over a particular year? And I get it. Some people go, no, it's just in the service of clients. That's it. We don't make money, but we still serve our client. And that's okay. But if you've got a mortgage or a family, or you want to, buy nice stuff, or you want to drive a car or do any of that stuff, fortunately or unfortunately, you need income, and income turns into money that you can use, right? So, and here's what I mean by this. So I've been working with a company, and, they identified that they want to grow their business from, 450,000 a year to, 1.5. To be honest, I would have been happy with 750. I identified 1.5. Now, 1.5 is probably 120,000 a month, give or take. Now, with the current level of work that they've been doing, it's $200 here, $300 there, $1,000 there, $2,000 there. And to be honest, to reach that target within the 12 months, we would have to quadruple the amount of work we're doing. So from a sustainability point of view, from an operating point of view, you need 3 times the amount of workers, you need 4 times the amount of infrastructure, project management infrastructure. And to be honest, that's the wrong model for that, because it's hard to get people. And number 2, you'll go broke spending money on your staff rather than making any profits. Now, so I said, hey, it's important for us, if we're identifying that goal, here sort of comes part 2, which is going hand in hand. We need to identify an audience or a product that we can sell that actually has a higher revenue with a higher profitability. So, the average job, instead of it being, let's say, I think it was $450 for them, the average job is $10,000. So now what we've done is we've used the same infrastructure. They're in a maintenance type business, same infrastructure, but we actually sold it to a different audience, and we changed the product around. So instead of, replacing a door lock, now we can literally do a small renovation. Instead of, doing a bathroom tile, now we do a bathroom. Instead of, fixing up a fence at a house, now we can do a retaining wall. So, and literally it's the same thing. It's the same tradespeople doing pretty much the same work. In actual fact, it expands our opportunity. So that is, first of all, if you identify what you need to be able to make, then you can search for the target audience. Now, it's interesting. Most business owners, what they do is, they're just stuck with that. And let me give you an example. So let's say if you're, you sell coffee machines, as an example. If you sell coffee machines and you sell, domestic type coffee machines, so, real high end, we know people that, have done that. I've worked with companies that do that. I said to them, instead of just selling coffee machines, that's a one-off purchase, 5 or 6 years, velocity of return, so it takes a long time before somebody repurchases off because they're really good quality. You make reasonably good money, but unfortunately wholesalers moved in, so they've cut margins down. I said to them, how about we also tack on another product, and that's a consumable. So, roasting of beans, get a kilo every 2 weeks, because if you're a coffee drinker like we all are in Australia, we're kind of addicted to it. Most people are doing 2-3 coffees a day. And now you've got a consumable that you can put on a drip, right? So once again, we identified what is it that the end goal is. And if it was just purely in coffee machines, it would have been really difficult. So from a cash flow perspective, we adjusted it, same client, different product, and now we opened it up to a whole other range of clients that have already got the coffee machine, but they really love the, roasting of, fine coffees and, kind of all little boutique type coffees that you got a lot of really cool flavors,
right?
Different product, so we opened it up to them. So they're sort of the first 2 that I would look at. Identify what it is that you're trying to accomplish financially with the business. Number 2, identify the client, and or do you need to change your product to suit that client, or do you need to shift it over and identify a new client? So that would be the first 2.
Right. Okay. So you need to look at whether, your product initially and go, can I diversify this? Like you explained with your other client doing fencing, and now they're doing retaining walls as well. Or look at your client split completely, and maybe you just serve domestic clients only. Is there a possibility where you could approach commercial clients?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Another company I'm working with, they're a commercial type builder. So they do maintenance, commercial, same thing. But now what we're doing is inside that team, we've got a specialist roofer. We did that 20 years. He had his own business. So he understands, domestic roofing, he understands commercial roofing as well. However, now what we're looking at, because there's such a big demand for roofing services in Australia. People are spending more time at home, all of that type of stuff. So, they get a bit concerned if the roof's old. And, we've had rains that, any tough roof, if you're going to try to keep up with that, and guttering and all of that type of stuff. So guess what? We literally identified that there's a residential client that we can approach with using this infrastructure. So we're not adding to it. We're not adding any more cost. We're just opening up to go, hey, I can set him up with a little van or a team, a couple of guys that are with him. And now we've opened up a whole domestic arm, and a profitability point of view usually goes up anywhere from, 25 to 28% if you're doing well, 30% in commercial, to now anywhere between 42 to 53% on residential. Plus, the turnover is a lot quicker. You get paid pretty much up front, and you can finish your job in 3 days rather than spend 30 to 45 days to try to get any money out of the commercial client. So do you see, once again, it's the client needs to be in flux, so to speak. Don't keep fishing where there's no fish, or the fish is being fished out, at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, well, there's 400 other fishermen fishing out of the same bucket.
It's very different.
Very right. Okay, cool. That's good. That really sets the foundation for where we're heading here. What's the next point?
Yeah, so part 3 is then, I believe that, using the fishing analogy, I think from an advertising point of view, it's important to cast the net. And here's what I mean by this. As an example, right now with us, we're running magazine level of marketing. And what we're doing is we want to add value first. Here, check out our magazine. That magazine is free. Subscribe to it. We'll send you actually a hard copy out to your house. Now, at the moment, people go to me, Nick, you're crazy. You're losing money. Every person that subscribes, there's literally $5 to print the magazine, $5 to post it, and about $15 for the opt-in. So at the moment, it's actually costing us $25 to get somebody's address and send them out a magazine. And most people are like, dude, you're crazy with that. Now, let's look at some mathematics. We're throwing out the net. So we're increasing our opportunity to serve more clients. And what we're trying to do is to see what type of fish are in that water. Well, who's getting sort of, biting, or who's getting caught up in that net. And we've got a whole range of different businesses. Interestingly enough, we're looking for the particular type of fish that we like to work with. Most people in the trade and construction industry, as an example, or engineering, mining support, automotive, right? Now, in saying that, inside that net, there's those fish. Now, I'm not saying that all of those fish are ready to buy, but what we're looking at is there's some other fish that may not be exactly like the ones that we're after, but they're still a good sized business. They still need our help. They see value in the magazine. So on an average, every 10 to 15, maybe 20 people out of that are keen on having maybe a strategy call. So it begins our process of having a strategy. At this stage, I think out of 40 leads, I think 2 are ready to have a strategy. So if you look at that at $25 a conversion times 20, it's $500 an appointment. Now, in saying that, if we convert 1 out of those 2, it's not only paid for that entire level, but right now we've got another 40 people in our, pipeline now that we can start to build relationships with, and we're good to go. So once again, coming back to the ideal client, sometimes you don't think it's going to be the ideal client, or most people are so stuck on it needs to be that person with that type of thing. Where the truth of the matter is, if you sell vacuum cleaners, you're a representative for, you've got a vacuum cleaner franchise. It doesn't always need to be that stereotypical, it's the lady of the house and it's the whole house mums that do it, because today people, live singly. You can use commercial applications for vacuum cleaners. You can have a Dyson for your car. You can have it for a boat, for a bloody aircraft. You can, so there's a whole bunch of new opportunities where 30, 40 years ago, I remember going for a job interview when I was 16 or 17, and it was for Electrolux vacuum cleaners. And Electrolux used to be the flagship. Back then, they were like $3,000 or $2,000. But it had all these attachments. You could click on the sander, you could have the
Wow.
power core, you'd have all these things. And Electrolux, like there's, the Dyson of today. Like,
I wish I had seen that infomercial. That would have been
it was
wonderful.
insane. It was like, and funny enough, they almost used like a disc profile, but it was in the interview. So you go there, you're in a room with 50 other people, and I end up going, yeah, cool, we want you to do it. And then I realize what's involved is door to door, try to move a 3 grand, vacuum cleaners. Not easy. Not even it's a Dyson. You could do that today. And people are aware of how awesome the product is, right? So, but
Yeah.
anyway, so what they did is, but it was stereotypical of, our ideal client avatar is, a mom, a stay-at-home mom, you're going to knock on the door, they're going to open, jam your foot in the door and go, hey, is this amazing vacuum cleaner, and go that way, right? And, they promised all these, you get the gold bracelet and you get the gold ring and, the perfect American infrastructure, it was that. But what I'm saying today is, Dyson have become fashionable. Look how clever they are. They didn't just go, oh, we've got vacuum cleaners today. They've got hair dryers. They got fans. They've got all of these different products, same technology, remapped for the ideal target audience and/or a new target range of it. Because now you don't even have to have tiles. Sorry, you don't even have to have carpet to own a Dyson product. You can have a hair straightener or a hair dryer. Maybe not good for me, but right. So, and you can also have a blade fan. Like they've got the right. So now it's the same thing. They've opened up the opportunity because they listen to the client. So cast the net out and see what's in there, because it's important to have a look. That's step 3.
Very good. I like that approach, and what it's doing as well, if anyone's ever run ad traffic before, it's testing the market out, because ultimately what does a digital marketer say? 88% of marketing fails. So really you're just testing it out, and we're doing the same thing with the magazine. We are testing it out. We're testing the audience, we're refining our message and our copy and who we want to speak to, but ultimately we're generating leads and conversations is the outcome there. The big point that I want to also throw in there as well is nurture cycles. The magazine's great because you're going to get one in your letterbox every quarter. So we're not just touching base with these guys once. We're going to send them a magazine every quarter till they pretty much say stop. And if you want a magazine, by the way, head to upcoach.com.au/magazine, and you can get your own copy. It's absolutely free and hugely valuable. Okay, cool, Nick. What's the last point that you've got there for finding your ideal customers?
I'm going to use this analogy. So my uncle, right, he's passed away now, but he was the ultimate in fishing. I'm not joking. If there's 4 of us sitting in a boat, no one's catching, and he's hauling them in one after another. And I've got that's freaky, right? We're in a 16-foot tinny. It's not that big. We're pretty much about this far away from each other. And his line, for whatever reason, I'm not talking a bite, I'm talking one after another. It's insane. Same prawns, same everything, same whatever, right?
Yeah, now, I've sat next to those guys on fishing charters. Maybe my line's cursed or something. I don't know what it is,
but you've touched it and it's oily or whatever. It's all of these myths.
That's it. That's right.
Anybody that's a fisherman just knows how to do it because they've just spent hours doing it. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of luck or whatever, but it's something along those lines. So one of those things is I thought about that, and I thought, what is it where it comes to identifying your ideal client? And funny enough, he could get it to the point of, what do we feel like? I'm like, I like snapper. He goes, no problem. But one after another with snapper. I'm bringing in like puffer fish or something like that. That's just, can't eat that thing. Right?
No.
Chuck it back in, or shitty fish that you can't do anything. He's like, there's all of these fish in there, but he's just pulling up the snapper. And what I figured was, what he does is, first of all, we get to a particular place where he knows that the fish is really good. We spoke about it before. If there's 4,000 fishermen in one place, forget it, right? So it's too hard, right? Because it's like a mine for fish, So right. So we go to places where there's boats around, but I don't know, he just maneuvers it into this place And, we've got all these places mapped out. He's like, forget GPS.
Yeah. So
Between
ultimately, like the magazine, he's already tested the ground out
he's
too.
already
He
tested
knows
the
exactly.
ground. So he knows
Right.
now that that's pretty, or I mean, he doesn't know, but he's presuming that's pretty futile. And funny enough, every time we go to that spot, we catch him. It's insane, right? And I'm not talking GPS accuracy like they got today. This was in between that light and that buoy. It's like sort of
Yeah.
somewhere there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you see how the water changes color? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, that's it. We're in there. I'm like, all right.
There we
So,
go.
put the anchor down and all that stuff. So basically, let's think about that as the marketplace, right? And then, he adjusts the line. So before we go, he's getting ready. And, there's a particular line that he uses, and he puts the hook on in a particular way and he leaves on a trace. And the sinker goes on the bottom, but it moves around. And I'm just like, putting whatever together. And he goes, oh, see that? You've left the fishing line out. He goes, you've got to snip it and all of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, seriously? He goes, yeah, we've got to wipe it so there's no water. All of these things. And I'm like, I thought we're going fishing, not like launching a space shuttle. But there's all of these little nuances, right? And that's called a message. Am I right? So in other words, what I'm saying to you is adjust the message. He adjusts the message, the type of bait, the type of hooks, the type of line, the distance of the line. And I was talking to my brother-in-law the other day, and he goes, I went out with this fishing charter, but instead of going off their heads, they went inside the harbour, but to all these different spots. And the guy goes, oh, when you're lowering this down, make sure it hits and then lift it up about this much. And no shit, he goes, make me fill the boat full of fish. Everyone on the ground wouldn't catch. He goes, you come off this high, you catching them one after another. I don't know, because the fish, I don't know, float in it.
Yeah, I've done that before, actually. I know it wouldn't be the same charter, but he said, drop it to the bottom, wind up twice and wait.
Wind up twice and
and sure enough.
Like it's, insane, right? So once again, it's, what is it that people can, like learn from the perspective of, we really need to, understand the opportunity for us to go, what's the, scenario where it comes to identifying the message. Now, how do I do that? Now, was my Uncle Jimmy throwing in the first one and he catches? The answer is no. He'd test it a little bit. I'll change it around, bring this rod up to that. But once he dials it in, what I'm telling you, it was like one after another. And he had all of these, things where he sat on the boat was his spot. All of these, hey, don't make any noise. I remember you had this little transistor before phones. You couldn't eat at that time because the eat puts a smell in, I don't know, whatever. It was all of these things, right? But I'm telling you, very rarely did we come back and we haven't filled a boat full of fish. So what's that got to do with marketing and your ideal client? Once you test the waters, once you give value, and the value in fishing is what? It's burly, throw some stuff out for free, feed the fish a little bit. Let's get to, give them some good value sooner or later, right? And what do? Well, we go, here's that, here's the magazine, here's some really cool video content, here's a strategy session that's free, here's, some more value, here's if you need more coaching. Like there's all of these things that we're testing, but once we get it happening, well, then we're cool. Now, I want to make it clear because some people go, oh, yeah, you're catching people in the net and it's all wrong and you're being sleazy. And it's absolutely not that. I'm just using this analogy so everybody gets really clear about fishing because marketing is exactly like fishing. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, you probably, don't be a business owner because you need to be competitive. And number two, if you think that that's, all completely wrong, get over it and start to think about the way that you could use this for you. Because remember, I've had this conversation. People are like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, no, we're giving massive amounts of value first. We're not, getting people with a gun to their head to go, hey, you've got to join us. Only if you like to, go for it. And we've got enough guarantees that are industry leading, not just coaching between us, industry leading, not one, but 3 guarantees with our work. So what we're trying to do is even when we identify the ideal client and dial that in so people attract themselves to us, now they've undoubtedly made their mind up. They've been assisted by our clients to make sure that they're happy. We've given them not one, but almost 3 sessions worth of value. We come with the guarantees. We come roughly with what ROI is going to be. They've spoken to our tribe. Do you see? There's all of these really cool things. Now, what does that look like? Identifying the ideal client is, I believe, I'm just going to have a supplementary to this because I'm just thinking about it. Identifying the ideal client also comes with bonus material where it comes to things like reviews, things like testimonials, because people want to see that other people have joined you, other people are happy with their product. It's like when you go to restaurants today, if there's 500 reviews on there on, what I call not TripAdvisor, on what's the
one of those ones, TripAdvisor.
One of those sort of ones, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool versus 3. Not to say that the 3 isn't good food, but what I'm saying is when 500 do it and it's 4.9 stars, birds of a feather kind of flock together, right? And guess what? Fish congregate together too. Very rarely is it a lone fish unless it's a bloody whale or something. But, like it's, and I don't think you're catching that in the tinny, but do you see? So it's important for you just to think about, adjust the message, look for the different waters that you're going to be in, and also, set up an environment that the customer feels comfortable in. How do they feel comfortable? By seeing others that have purchased from you. They go, man, these people are really good people. That's all it is. It's just lifting that credibility.
Great. There's a whole lot of gold in what you've just been saying, and I really like this last point here. And what I got from it was change the bait to suit the clients or the customers that you want. Because we speak about avatar all the time with our clients, but every type of customer will have a different type of bait or different type of message, just like every type of fish likes a different type of jig or bait or so on, or hook. So guys, there's a whole lot of advice right there, 4 parts or 4 things to really consider. Can you just give us a quick summary on those 4 aspects again for us, Nick, just as a summarized section, and write the stuff down, guys. Take it away, start putting it into your business, and if you have questions, reach out. What are those 4 again, Nick?
Yeah, so number 1, I think it's really important to identify the goal that you want to reach. What's the next 12 to 18 months look like from a financial goal and the type of positioning you want in your business? Super important.
Got it.
What's the vision with the finances, right? Number 2, then with that, we can identify the ABC client. Is it your existing client, but you can sell a new product? Is it adjust the product to attract a new client, right? So
got it.
Those 2 are really important. You don't need to retool too much. You can just adjust it a bit. That's important. Number 3, I think it's important to cast the net. Let's just see what's out there. Let's test the waters and see what's there. And number 4, I think it's important to adjust the bait, in this case, adjust the message, and also make sure that there isn't, 4,000 people swimming up, fishing in the same spot. If that move the boat, into different waters, don't keep trying to do it, because a lot of people, what they try to do is they're trying to do the easy route. Oh, there's a lot of fish there, let's just do it there. But sooner or later you run out of fish, or I don't know, but I reckon the fish are pretty bloody clever too. They're like, there's all these poles in here, don't go there, let's go. Anyway, it's crazy. Have you noticed that? I don't know, they even take the bait off the hook without eating it. It's like
they're very, very crafty.
Right? They're crafty, right? That's like insane, right? But they've got those defenses up already or something. But,
that's right.
And your client has got those defenses up already, right? It's crazy how close it is to fishing, right? So, but and you got to test it. That's how it works. But
that's exactly right. Guys, if you have any questions around this, shoot them through to ask@upcoach.com.au. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Again, if you want a copy of the magazine, you listen to this, it's upcoach.com.au/magazine. Grab your free copy today. Thank you so much, Nick, once again.
Oh, good.
And we'll see you all again next week on another episode of Coaching Conversations. Bye now.
Bye.